Hello again, everyone. Welcome to a new Let's Play of Betrayal at Krondor. This is a game that I have just really only a slight amount of familiarity with. I had a neighbor who had it, and I played it a bit at his house, but I don't think I ever got past Chapter 1, just because, you know, it's a long game and had to play it at his house. So, I know a bit about it, and I think I started to read the novel adaptation by Raymond Feist, but I don't think I ever actually finished it. I do have it somewhere in my piles of books. But let's go ahead and check my preferences. Step size, let's set that to medium. Turn size is medium, that's fine. Text speed is weight. Detail as maximum. I have turned off CD music because I'm using the GOG data files, but I'm not using the GOG installer. I'm sticking with my own DOSBox install, and the problem with the CD music is that it doesn't loop and it doesn't fade. So you get some weird cutoffs and stuff like that, and when you have the combat music, it just plays once, and then boom, the rest of the fight is, you know, no music. So we'll see how it goes. I am using the Roland MT32 audio instead, so hopefully that will be sounding pretty nice for you guys. I'm liking it so far. There isn't music all the time in the game, though. So anyway, let's go with OK. Start a new game. Chapter 1, Into a Dark Night. Now, interestingly enough, on this screen, the aspect rate, the resolution is different. It looks like it's picking up just fine on the recording, so you probably won't notice any difference, but yeah, my window got a little bit smaller, and it'll get a little bit bigger once we get back into the game. Blood-soaked rags collected at the boy's feet. One by one, he tended the wincing soldier's purple wounds, stitched, salved, bandaged, did what little he could in the leaping golden halo of firelight. Fortunately for his roadside patient, he could do more than most. Fingers slick with alum ointment, he worked fervently to tie off a catgut cord, then brushed the injury with a light touch that to the untrained eye would seem only a friendly pat. Others would recognize a telltale hand gesture as a magical ward against infection. I gotta take an issue with 3 dashes there. If you're gonna emulate an M dash, it should just be 2. Anyway. Done, Owen sighed, wiping his hand in a rust-colored cloth. No guarantees, though. Stitches may hold all the way to Lamut, and then again, push too hard and you could be bleeding like a stuck pig on Midsummers. So this book is set in Raymond Feist's Riftwar world. It's set between 2 books that I don't know. I've never really read any of his stuff. Meant to, just never quite got around to it. But the friend that I played, whose house I played this at, had read a few of them. But Feist didn't actually write the story of this, but he did consult, and it is canonical. Like I said, he did then go back and write a novelization of it. So all of this stuff, you know, if you're a fan of that setting, that world, all the stuff here is canonical, which is a pretty interesting thing, really, that they would, you know, do that, and the author would actually go for it. It's not all that common, in my experience. You did fine, Senor Locklear replied, smiling approval before rolling down his sleeve. It'll scar, but it's good for a noble's reputation. Lets the kingdom folk know he isn't resting on his laurels, and it impresses the ladies. I'll be sure to look you up in Tabern if I ever need stitching up again. The boy accepted the compliment with a humble nod while he packaged away the rest of his medical supplies. His thoughts focused instead on a third man, who slumped in the shadows across from them. Despite the manacles that bound the stranger's hands and the distance that separated them, the boy felt dreadfully exposed, his avenues of escape limited. should Locklear's elven-looking prisoner decide to liberate himself. What did he do? Owen whispered, jerking his head towards the man. Gorath, let's just say that he had the disadvantage of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, Locklear said cautiously. He snatched a greenish apple out of his knapsack, offering one to Owen. I have to take him to Krondor. Did he kill someone? Owen asked. No. He attacked you. The Signor wiped apple juice from his mouth, shook his head. No, not exactly. Well, who cut you up then? Before Locklear could reply, Gorath leapt forward, his chains writhing between his wrists like metallic vipers. Get out from underfoot, Owen! Assassin in the camp! Do not struggle so, Heseth. I wish to keep you alive. But be glad I do not. The goddess of death will show you greater mercy. Chapter 1. Into a Dark Night. Escort Gorath to Krondor. We could just take a torch. Also, yeah, we're supposed to escort Gorath to Krondor. We're going to do anything but, in this chapter, until, you know, we, have done lots of exploring. Anyway, so here we are in the world. Let me actually, up the, cycles a bit. Should make things a little bit smoother for me. We turn around with arrow keys. This is not a WASD game. It's a little bit older than that. Gorath looked for supplies. Feeling a bit like a vulture, he turned the body this way and that as he searched for anything that might be of use to them on their journey. All in all, he supposed that if he were the dead man, it wouldn't matter to him any longer what happened to his belongings. So this game is presented like an interactive novel. All of the, or most of the, in-game text descriptions will show up in sort of a situation with, you know, novel text and stuff like that. So we got rations, 4. Laying the brown parcel aside, Gorath carefully undid the short length of string that bound the package. Although standard rations generally contained salted sweetmeats, hard rolls, sliced apples, and strawberry tarts, he was eager to get at whatever food was inside. So we got some standard rations. Those were lockpicks that I picked up, and weird. Locklear is good with lockpicks. I'll take those rations. All right, so here we have the character sheet of Locklear. The characters will change between chapters. Right now, he is at 55 out of 55 health, 45 out of 45 stamina. His speed is 4, which is a number of tiles he can move in battle, I believe. And strength of 17. And then we've got all of these skills. I believe I can... yeah, I can mark some, and I think that, like, sets it up to improve more. You're the one that... and this is a character that will tend to do the stuff. So we want him on lockpick. Accuracy melee is good. He has no accuracy casting, because he does not cast. And I think weapon craft is good. Click on the portrait, and you'll notice that the portraits are basically digital photography of actors in costume, which was also unusual for the time, as I recall it. Owen has 40 out of 40 health, 45 out of 45 stamina, 4 speed, and strength of 12. I want accuracy casting. He's already at 64%, which is pretty good. I think I want him on haggling and barding as well. He's got some spells. Despair Thy Eyes, and that was not... let me see if I can get back there. Okay, this just gives me a list, I think. Alright. Can't, like, look at what they do. And we've got Gorath here. Gorath has a beard. He's a what's called a Moradhel, which is kind of a dark elf, basically. But he's got a beard, which indicates that he has some human blood in him. Let's see. You have... you've actually got pretty good weapon craft, but I want you on the armor craft. Accuracy melee for now, and... Let's go with scouting. I think that setting these kind of increases the speed at which they increase, but I'm not positive of that. He's got strength of 25, speed 3, 65 out of 65 stamina, and 60 out of 60 health. Condition normal. Hopefully that won't change too often. So those are our character sheets. We've got our map here. This will reveal, where we are in the area. And we can see the nice big kind of world map. We got Yabon, Lamut. All the way over here is Caldara. I don't know if we'll ever go there. Zun, Hawk's Hollow, Quester's View, Sarth, and Krondor. So this is our destination. We can basically take this road all the way down here to Krondor. But we kind of want to explore as much as we can. We'll get a lot of items, be able to sell some things. There's a little village, Yabon, that I'll probably go hit. Lamut is a bigger city in this area. I don't think we can get up into these areas right now. But I think we can get into any of this stuff right now. So we'll be wandering around. I don't think there are any random encounters in this game. I think everything is fixed. There might be returning fixed encounters, but I'm not positive. And I believe we can, we can zoom out that way. Zoom in this way. There's not much point to that, though. I think zooming out as much as possible is generally going to be my preferred thing on that map. And, yeah, so we see corpses like that on the map. And we'll just look around here. Alright, so that's north. I kind of want to go a bit east. Might be able to go up around this this mountain here. Goroth seemed distant, though the Mordhel warrior didn't appear grieved about killing the assassin that had followed them from the Northlands. His eyes had a baleful look in them that seemed something between hatred and rage. Several times he glanced back at the corpse that lay behind them in the dust, his thoughts unguessable from his expression. Do you wish to bury him? We could do that. It is not our way. I simply am somewhat disturbed that he should come after me. He was a kinsman. There are other things that trouble me as well. Delacon's assistants are slow, but not altogether stupid. Another like Haseth, and you'll only have my corpse to drag before your Prince Arutha. Sorry, you don't get off that easy. As long as you are under my command, you are forbidden to die, Mordhel. I've gone to far too much trouble keeping you alive to bury you now. It's time that we took the chains off you. It'll be far easier for you to defend yourself if your hands are free to swing a sword again. You're not just going to set him free, are you? I thought you said he was your prisoner. He is my prisoner, Owen. But the circumstances are terribly complicated. Even if he chose to sneak off, he'd be lucky to make it to the next town alive. This is the third such assassin we've run into since we left the Northlands. And I have a feeling that more will be waiting for us. He'll be much safer with me and I with him. As a boy would be. If he were to whisper the wrong word in the wrong ear, he could easily be the death of us. Me? Who am I going to talk to? I'm not even heading in the same direction. Wouldn't be a matter of who you talk to, Owen. There won't be ears listening for word of a Mordhel traveling with a noble. Damnation. Should have thought about this when you entered camp. For the time being, you're my squire. Once we arrive safely at the palace, you'll be free to go your own way. But I have pressing business in Tibern. Nothing about power converters, I hope. This is not a subject of debate. We must get to Krondor. My mission is of critical importance, and I don't have time to improvise an easy solution. The only other possible option would be to slit your throat and leave you dying. I have absolutely no desire to do that. Now let's get moving before Delacan's assassins catch our scent again. They'll likely come looking when Haseth doesn't return from his mission. Okay. So we can go around there, but I don't think there's anything actually that way at the moment. I think that there is something over here. The ashes were cold. Wiping the grime off his hands, Locklear shook his head. Someone or something obviously set up camp here, but it's hard to say just when. Might have been us. I'm not sure. But hey, look, there's a chest. Locklear gritted his teeth. While they had agreed the box should be opened, he was privately concerned the previous user might have left behind an unpleasant surprise. But he didn't. We got 62 silver coins. That is, I believe, going to be 6 sovereigns and 2 royals. Let's see if I'm correct. Yep. So it's 10 silver to a gold. Pretty standard stuff, really. All right, but there is a... Actually, there might be something that we could do down south before we go visit the town. Let's get onto the road. So once you're on the road, you can actually click this button here, and it'll lock you in. If you just hold straight, you'll automatically turn. It's kind of handy. There's another box over here. Rough in its construction and banded with iron, the Mordhel box would be impossible to open without solving its word lock, and judging by the marks on the face of the chest, others had learned that lesson after much difficulty. Kind of feel like you could just hack it open. Gorth scanned the runes embossed on the Mordhel clue plate, its text their only hope of opening the difficult word lock. Alright, so this is something that we'll come across quite frequently, actually. Basically everywhere. Mordhel word lock chests have a clue plate, which has a riddle on it, and then you have to move these in order to get in. Of course, the description in the manual actually makes it out that they're real spinners on the chest that you're actually spinning. Pretty sure someone persistent enough could just sit there and you know, D-O, and then just go through each of these, you know, and systematically try it if they couldn't read this. You saw the text change, and that's because Gorth is translating it for us. Prince Arutha from his lofty perch will find our troops without a search. His men will fall, his castle too, and then what will Prince Arutha do? Prince Arutha is our liege. He is the prince in Krondor. But Mordhel are kind of opposed to him. So we got DOC right now. A, F, S, D. So we don't have all the letters on here, which is another reason why it's like it would be a little bit easier to actually brute force these. But this is a pretty easy one. He's going to die. In fact, this one specifically is in the manual. The chest thumped. Satisfied the magical locks had released, Locklear tipped open the large wooden lid. And we find a sword, and we find some armor. Alright. So let's go ahead and check out our inventory. So we've got 2 lockpicks. Reaching into the velvet pouch, Locklear withdrew a sterling silver lock-picking tool. He studied it carefully, marveling at the unmatched precision of its craftsmanship. I feel like steel would probably be better than silver. Silver is a little soft. Whatever. Restoratives. Uses left 10. A comforting warmth blanketed Locklear as he shook the vial of restorative fluid, its magical effects radiating up the length of his arm and then down through his limbs and torso. He would, of course, have to swallow the liquid to reap the benefit of its healing powers. I've got 7 rations. A broadsword with 69% condition. Slicing air with the weapon, Locklear made a few passes at an imaginary foe. Although the sword was not the most remarkable he had ever held, it would serve well enough if he found himself in a sword battle. It is repairable right now. We've got more info here. Base damage for thrust is 0 plus strength. Accuracy is 10 plus skill. With a swing is 7 plus strength, and accuracy is -5 plus skill. Active mods none, blessed type none, and racial mod human, so humans are better with this weapon. But he currently has a better one equipped. I believe the percentage decreases the effectiveness of it. So actually we want to give this armor over to you. Go ahead and equip that. Let's see, you've got 18%, so there we go. And Right now you have no armor, so you will just automatically equip that. We also have Herbal Pack, a potent medicinal aroma wafted from the Herbal Pack as Owen looked it over. Without opening it up, he was certain it contained the standard materials, alum and healer's alcohol. While it couldn't help regain lost strength, it would go a long way to increase the rate at which he healed. So this is the kind of thing that you want to use outside of combat to heal up a little bit faster, whereas the restoratives are something that you'd use in combat in order to, actually... Let's actually share with party. Let's see, 6, 11, 9... So restoratives you'd use in combat for an immediate heal, and the herbal packs you would use outside of combat to speed up your healing rate, basically. Well, I was going to go to the village, but I think going down this way, see if we can find some more things. Someone was calling. Recognizing the lilt of the young voice, Owen turned and looked back down the road. A young squire that he had met at a party in Yabon was trudging behind them, a pack full of scrolls slung over his shoulder. The squire waved congenially at Owen, and Owen echoed the motion. What do you think you're doing? We're trying to remain unnoticed. Damn, Locklear muttered under his breath. Try to behave as normal as possible. Since you know him, you handle him, Owen. And remember, Gorth's name is Thorgath. Thorgath, Owen finished, irritated. I'm not a child, you know. That remains to be seen. I didn't expect to see you again quite so soon. I would have thought you all the way to Lamut by now. I would have been if the Duchess hadn't insisted on introducing me to all of her daughters. Amelia was the prettiest, I believe, though I think Catherine took quite a liking to you. Catherine took a liking to everyone at the party. She's as fickle as her mother. She'll likely marry a Condoin if she can find one not tied in the marital knot. True enough. Say, I thought you said you were from Tyburn. What are you taking this route home? Kind of a long way around, isn't it? Well, yes, but I had met up with my Uncle Locklear here, and my other friend here is an elf, Thorgath. They decided that it would be nice for me to take a tour with them down to Hawk's Hollow. Down to Hawk's Hollow. Here it's lovely this time of year. What are you up to? I'm looking to cash in a reward, actually. When I was on my way up to Yabon last month, I found a chest in this area, but I couldn't pick the lock on the damn thing. I figured it wasn't meant to be, and I left off. Thing is, all through the Duchess's party, I couldn't help but think about it. I had chest on the brain. I don't really care what's in it, but I have to pick that lock. Owen asked about the nearest town. I'm afraid my senses of direction and distance are a bit off right now. We had a bit to drink last night, and we're still trying to shake off the effects. Which way is the nearest place we could get cleaned up? It must have been quite a bender if you're that confused. Head straight south along the main road, and that will take you into Lamut. If you're looking for good food, the Blue Wheel has a solid wager, though I warn you their Tsarani food can be a bit spicy. Yeah, what about inns? I, for one, could do with a little less sleeping on the ground. Any good inns that you could recommend? There's a Blue Wheel Inn in Lamut, or if you try the Dusty Dwarf in Hawk's Hollow. I suppose if you get really desperate, you could try breaking into one of the abandoned houses out in that part of the country, but I can't sleep well in a house that may fall on top of me. Of course, it may well be that the people have moved out for good reasons. I've heard that several people south of L'Oreal moved out after a contagion began spreading near there. What about empty houses? Was anything left behind in any of the abandoned houses you saw? Nothing of real value, bits of food and a few cupboards, an occasional gold piece kicked behind the foundation of the house. Lost items, mainly. The majority of the places I visited had those unpickable locks. What are they called? Weber locks, yes. They had Weber locks installed, so I wasn't able to get inside. Lost items? I'm not certain, but I think I may have mislaid a very valuable belonging of mine. I shouldn't worry about it. Depending on where you lost it, chances are good it will still be there. So, to a certain extent, this is kind of a bit of a tutorial type thing. You can drop items and they will just show up in a bag on the ground. But I think that they do, you know, kind of like eventually disappear or disappear between chapters or something like that. Oops. No, I think there's something back there. I have a map that I'm using, but I'm mostly ignoring what the things indicate. I'm just looking at like what it's indicating where things are. And we have another chest here. The box's lid refused to budge. It appears to be locked, Gorth said. Shall we try to open it? Not just yet. Let's go ahead and have Owen cast a spell. So, I don't know exactly what these are. I think these are kind of like schools of magic or something like that. But we've got Scent of Sarig, cost 5 health or stamina, duration 12 hours, caster can sense trapped chests. It's probably a good thing to have on. Owen muttered the incantation. Knowing that the effects would be invisible to all but himself, Owen explained as he finished the spell. Until it wears off, I will be able to sense whether a chest has been trapped. Owen stared at the chest. With great concentration, he closed his eyes and pictured the chest in his mind, studied the wooden grain and metallic bands until the image seemed to come closer and closer, until he was not only seeing the chest, he was seeing inside the chest. I believe it is safe, he said at last. Shall we attempt to open it? Yup. Alright, so, we have one peasant's key, so small that it seemed it could snap, he could snap it between his fingers. The peasant's key was made of a tarnished copper, its color giving away its simple origin. The rough flashing that remained around the edges of the key further suggested the key had been only one of several hundred keys made. And then, of course, we have our lockpicks. The lock was simple. As the old saying goes, locks are for children and fools, Locklear said. After a few seconds, he flipped the lockpicks into the air and caught them again. I am no fool. And it has, some standard Kingdom armor. It is repairable. We've got more info. A thin shell of steel. The plate armor was ideally intended to be worn over a padded piece of clothing that they were regretfully without. But while the thin fabric of Gorth's tunic would be a poor substitute for a quilted gambeson, the armor itself would deflect far more sword blows than would bare skin. So, armor mod 15%, resistance is none, bless type none, racial mod human. Boop. And then we have a shell, value rating 85%. Shades of blue and alabaster chased one another around the surface of the spiral shell, winding tighter and tighter until the colors became an indistinguishable blur towards the center. While such shells were not entirely unique, they were sometimes collected and sold by poor peasants. And you can hold on to that. I'm clicking the wrong buttons. That's what I want. Let's see, 84, 78. Let's give you that. You can have this one. And then you can have this one. There we go. So, items do have, they take damage and stuff like that. We'll be able to repair them soon enough. Let's see, I actually want to go back up this way a little bit. Something had been buried under the dirt. The hole's not big enough to put a man in, so it's safe to assume it isn't a grave, Locklear said. Might be a secret cache of food or supplies. Let's take a look. And we get one ration. You do want to check rations because they can be rotten or poisoned. And we have Aventurine, uses left 10. Uncorking the mouth of the oilskin, Gorth poured out a small portion of the gold-flecked lacquer into his palm and examined it. Named after a type of impure brown glass common in Rillanon, it was an ideal resin to use on crossbow strings when they began to lose their cohesiveness. So that is basically the repair item for crossbows, which we do not have any of right now. But hey, we got some food and we got some adventuring. Not bad at all. So, over here, we have a sign that says Lamut. I'm not going to go to Lamut yet. It's a larger-ish town. We've come down here already. I think I want to go back up to Yabon and come over to Tir Sog, just to see what's in this region. Then I'm going to swing down around this way, I think. See what we find. So we've got Zun there, Hawks Hollow, L'Oreal, and then up to Tir Sog again. But that is going to be next time. See you then, everyone.